if you are a Christian, God is speaking to you. We often just don't know how to hear him or how to receive from him. And so today I'm going to teach you how to hear God clearly and never miss it. My name is Pastor Adam. My heart for this channel is to help people connect with God and find healing through him. So please subscribe and join this ministry so you don't miss a video, as I'm releasing a video every single week. So in order to discern the voice of God, I'm going to show you exactly how I began to hear him. But it starts with understanding the characteristics of God's voice. And so there's a couple things about the voice of God I want to share with you before I teach you exactly how to hear him. So the first one is that God never contradicts his word. I have to tell you this story of a pastor that because he misheard the voice of God, it led him to moral failure and completely falling out of ministry. He was struggling with lust. He had lust in his heart, and he was going to go to counseling in order to begin to work through this problem of lust. And then he heard the voice of God. At least he thought it was the voice of God. And he had a theology that God allows things in our life for a reason in order to teach us something. And so the voice of God, it wasn't the Lord, but he thought it was, said to him, "Why are you going to get counseling for this lust? I've allowed it into your life for a reason, to teach you something, to help you rely on me." That's what the voice of God said to him. So he canceled his counseling appointment, turned around and left. This pastor ended up failing morally in his ministry and completely falling out of pastoring. And I believe he never pastored again. This happened because he thought he was hearing God's voice, but the voice he heard contradicted the word. He definitely should have gotten help for his lust. And by any means necessary, you go after sin to see it destroyed. And yet this voice contradicted the word because he didn't understand the word. You know, in Numbers 23:19, it says, "God is not a man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind. He has said, and will he not do it? Or he has spoken, and will he not fulfill it?" This teaches us that God doesn't lie. He doesn't contradict his word. So if you are hearing a voice in your head and it's going against the word of God, or something in your life is happening and you've been taught and told it is the Lord, but it contradicts his word, it is not the Lord. He's not the one doing it. And you can know for a fact that God is going to line up with his word. As it says in Psalm 119, verse 89, "Forever, O Lord, your word is firmly fixed in the heavens." The second characteristic you need to understand about the Lord in order to catch his voice. If you don't get this one, you are not going to be able to discern whether you're hearing God's voice or not. Here's the thing. He never condemns you, and he always tries to lead you in peace without fear. This is the biggest thing. A lot of the times people will think they're hearing God's voice, but their voice they hear condemns them, makes them feel horrible, and accuses them. Did you know the enemy can take our deficiency in matching God's calling on our life and use it as a weapon to destroy our heart and our mind and pull us out of being able to follow Jesus? He will make you feel condemned. He'll make you feel separated from God. He'll tell you things like you're not good enough, that I can't believe you're not measuring up to what God is doing. You're not loving enough. You're not caring. All these things, he'll just list them and he'll make you feel this condemnation. And yet, as it says in Romans 8:1, "There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." And so God is not going to condemn you through his voice because it's not my actions that make me measure up. It's the grace of Jesus Christ that changes me so that from the inside out I'm transformed and then my actions changed. See, I don't earn God's favor through how I live. Favor has come on me through Jesus. I believe in him. I seek him in a loving relationship through prayer and his word, and that changes how I live. I don't earn his love. He already loves me. The other thing is he's not going to condemn you. He's going to lead you in peace without fear. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes where God calls us to doesn't have anxiety and fear try and come on us. We have to discern the voice of the Lord. But it says in Zephaniah 3:17, the Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who is able to save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. Hebrews 12:6-10 says, for the Lord disciplines the one he loves, but he disciplines us for our good, that we may share in his holiness. And so even when God corrects us, it's out of love and grace to call us up higher. And that when he leads us in a rejoicing, and he quiets us with his love. An encounter with the love of God will quiet your soul. I would like to highlight to you that even when Peter walked on water, fear tried to get on him. So don't always go by, if there's fear, that means it's not God. Sometimes God is calling you to take a risk, and the flesh and the devil want to try and deceive you out of following his faithfulness. But you want to trust that voice, you want to trust that peace, and allow him to lead your soul. The third characteristic that's going to help you understand God in his speaking to you, you have to know this, is God sometimes speaks in metaphors that require seeking for interpretation, or even we wait for it to play out. See, the voice of God will come, and sometimes he'll give you a word or a picture, but we have to understand that sometimes that picture and that word is concealed in a metaphor, and we have to seek the Lord in order for the vision to play out. Job 33:14-16 says, for God speaks in one way and in two, though man does not perceive it. In a dream, in a vision in the night, when deep sleep falls on men while they slumber on their beds, then he opens the ears of men and terrifies them with warnings. So it's in this place of seeking him that the revelation comes, and also understanding that sometimes it's in a dream, sometimes it's in a vision. But Jeremiah 29:13 says, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with your whole heart. So the Lord may show you something in a picture or a dream, and you may know that this is significant. But I have to go seek his face in order to understand the fullness of what he's wanting to show me and what he's trying to reveal to me. There's an interpretation that can come. And so God, although he wants to speak to you, sometimes he speaks in a riddle so that you seek his face deeper to find the depth of the meaning. It cultivates relationship. It cultivates clarity. God never leaves you or leads you in anxiety. He never leads you in condemnation. And the Lord will never contradict his word. Now I want to teach you how I began to hear the voice of God. And I'm going to share with you the first time I ever heard it. And we're going to walk through how that transformed me hearing his voice, and also helped me to do it more regularly. And so it started when I was about 15 years old. And my English teacher told me that sometimes we cannot hear God's voice because the noise around us gets so loud that it drowns out his ability to speak, or our ability to hear. And so what you want to do is get alone in your room at night when it's quiet and just ask him to speak, and he will speak to you. See, as a young man, 15 years old, I took that to heart and I applied what he said. See, if life is so loud and we're so busy all the time that we can't get alone with Jesus to hear his voice, to show us what to do, to reveal us where to go, you're never going to hear him. Because you have not trained your ear, your spiritual ear, to discern his voice that can cut through the noise. You have to actually separate yourself from the noise in order to hear him. And that's what I did. I went alone in my room and laid down on my bed, and it was quiet. And I did it that night. And as I laid there, I asked the Lord to speak to me. I said, God, what would you have? What would you want to say to me today? If you are not asking God to speak, the chances are being able to discern his voice is going to be very hard. This is how you hear the voice of God. You have to begin to talk to him, but not talk at him, talk with him. A lot of times in prayer, we talk at the Lord, and we don't expect him to communicate back. And so we come, we say our list of prayers, and then we leave. And we forgot one of the most important things, and that is listening prayer. It's sitting with God and listening, asking, Lord, would you speak to me? Your word, would you tell me what to do? What do you want to say to me today? And as you begin to do that, you sharpen your ability to hear. And I bet you, if you can go in alone in your room and sit with the Lord and ask him to speak, he will begin to talk to you. So when I did that as a young man, what started happening is these thoughts started going through my head. I heard somebody say this, and I really liked it, that the voice of God is the thoughts that go through your head after you've asked him to speak. The next things that come, it could be a word, could be a picture, whatever it could be. But I asked him to, and here's what he said to me as a 15-year-old young man. He said, Adam, I want you to be more compassionate. I want you to put other people before yourself and not come into life trying to get something from people, but to actually bless them and to put them before you and to love them. This is what he said to me as a young man. And then the other part, which I found really funny, is that I had a buddy of mine. And this buddy of mine would always ask me, Adam, would you get me a bowl of cereal? Now, I would never get him one. I would look at him and say, no, I'm not going to get you a bowl of cereal because you would never get me one. The issues of a 15-year-old kid. And the Lord ended off his word to me that night saying, and when your friend asks you to get him a bowl of cereal, I want you to get him one. Stuff I would have never thought of. It was the voice of the Lord, and I was discerning it for the very first time. And I can tell you this, it is that easy. If you're in the Word, if you're in prayer and you go and be alone with him and you ask him to speak, he can speak to your soul and tell you exactly what to do. And over time, his voice will be able to be louder and louder in your soul, and you'll know exactly what he's telling you to do. Now, in a few weeks, I want to share with you the 4 ways God speaks to us, because that way I just shared with you is known as hearing. And there are actually 3 other ways that God communicates with us, which are incredibly important. If you don't recognize those other ways, then God can be speaking to you for years, and you've just never been able to hear his voice. But for many of us in this moment right now, God is communicating with you. And beyond the 4 ways and beyond how to hear his voice, there are actually strange signs. There are signs that God is trying to speak to you and you're not hearing him. And I talked to you about this in this video. I would encourage you, if you are wanting to sharpen your ability to hear God's voice for whatever situation you're in, if you need healing, freedom, deliverance, life change, direction, I would encourage you watch this video right here, because it is going to show you the signs God is speaking to you. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you over there. God bless.